things. That's why I came here for that, because that's where AI and, ancient philosophy and ancient wisdom is colliding, right here. So, this is my first trip here out of the country with this much of an in-depth project. So I started this project about 30 days ago, and it was just a creative friend that I have. We're working on ideas continuously, and he had the idea for looking at AI within the context of the culture that we're visiting, within the rich philosophical culture. So like Greece here has awesome, history. It's where the question was created, democracy, those things like that. And so this place has been absolutely excellent for answering the questions that I came here to answer. So like I've been talking to people about AI, like what they, how they use it, if they're scared of it. I've been talking to all different kinds of people. So like for several days this week, like we would be up on a hill with a few different philosophy professors that gave us the time of day. And and it's crazy just how many people you can just get a hold of and go climb a big hill, and ask questions about the meaning of life, that's it for philosophy professor. Like I changed my degree every single year for 6 years. So like that's like how my mind kind of works. I'm just have so many interests, and so my content has just been like a golden ticket to talk to whoever I want to talk to. So like it's just a way to kind of feed that curiosity.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Do you want to spend 2 minutes just to so people can know you?
Yeah.
Who you are, what you do?
Sure. My name's James Miller. I'm from the United States of America. am an entrepreneur, a storyteller, podcaster, I suppose, in the last few years. I've reapproaching what I do everything this year. So like I'm wanting to depart from what I've done in podcasting, and I've come here to Greece working on a series concept for looking at artificial intelligence, robotics, how that's affecting, society and the culture that I'm visiting. So here in Greece, that's, Greek philosophy, Greek culture, and we've been doing that for the last 3 weeks.
Awesome. I think we're going to go back to that.
Oh, sure.
How was the 3 weeks in Greece, first of all? Like, did you enjoy it at least?
I've really enjoyed it. I came here with, a good plan, all these contacts, and a partner who had the idea to come here. And none of that worked out. Like the whole first week, I got food poisoning on the second day. It was just like, so I was just rolling with it. By the second week, I finally got adjusted and calmed down from traveling. And, other than that, everything else has gone really well. I connected with a Greek filmmaker here in town, and she's been just excellent in helping me, get this project, saved and executed. And that's what I came here to do, was tell a story.
Yeah, I think it's, especially while traveling, things are not going to plan a lot of times.
Traveling is rough on me. Like it's like stressful. Does it not stress? Does it stress you out at all? It's hard. It just feels like it's draining,
Especially if you're doing it for a project and you have specific amount of time. I think it's normal. Yeah.
And I extended my time. I was supposed to only stay 10 days. I've been here 3 weeks now.
And it was only Athens, or did you also visit it?
So I've stayed in Athens mostly, and I've been mainly just working every day. I haven't even been to the Acropolis. I don't think I even have time to go to the Acropolis now, but I'm definitely going to be back. So one day I went to Ellinas, the island, and I tried to go to some stuff on a scooter, but I realized you can't really take a scooter out of town. It's a lot of
you mean the Poseidon?
I tried to go to Poseidon. And that didn't.
But you had bad weather.
It was.
Which is rare for Greece.
Really? When's the best time to visit Greece?
Depends what you want, but usually, I think this period is like the coldest, which is not that cold. I'm in a t-shirt. Maybe the next month is also cold, but other than that, I think it's good weather. And then during the summer, maybe it's too hot actually. So it's usually the islands.
Cool.
Because in Athens, maybe it's too much.
I was fine with the weather here. I think there's 4 inches of snow on the ground whenever I got back to when I was leaving Arkansas.
Wow. Yeah. What's the main thing that you maybe noticed, like compared to the States, like differences maybe? Like the biggest one?
All of the coffee shops here are excellent. Like I love all of the coffee shop. It's crazy how everything is so well prepared. In the United States, everything is so similar, and I get so many coffees that just don't taste good. They taste burnt or whatever. But here, I mean, it's like coffee shop after coffee shop. It's been wonderful. The people go at a different pace here, so it took me a minute to kind of like slow down. When I'm still kind of rushing around, but people are less rigid, I suppose, than in the United States. I like it better here. Okay. Sorry to say. I mean, everyone I love is back home, of course. But yeah, I've loved my time in Greece. It's been great.
I saw you doing also videos for graffiti and stuff. Is it different from the States? Like having graffiti everywhere?
Okay, so yes, so that would definitely be that's the main thing when you land here in Athens, particularly, is the graffiti is, I mean, every single wall is graffitied. And yeah, so like when I got here, I was like, I definitely want to interview somebody that does this, and just reaching out. So I had an outreach every time I travel to a location. So I'll run an ad, or I'll promote just a text line that says, hey, I'm looking for cool stories in the area. Like, comment to this. That's how I've met everybody. I mean, I'm talking dozens of interviews, and every single thing that's happened, in my content has been because of the relationships that I've formed on that platform. Okay. That's the unique aspect of that platform, is that you can just reach out to people that you can't get a hold of on other platforms, that you can't get a hold of in email.
Yeah, because I wanted to ask you, how do you schedule this? How do you meet people? And I think you said that people you meet are gonna suggest other people, so it's like a chain.
Yeah. So, I'm not an expert in really anything that I'm covering. Like, I'm not a graffiti artist, though I think my name is on the wall of the School of Philosophy. I didn't do that, but I mean, it's going to be in the episode I've released, though.
Awesome.
I'm not an expert. So that's what I've leaned into. So like I will approach people from that humble part of me wanting to just learn, and people with the heart of a teacher, you see that right away. People love to talk to somebody, especially about something that they're passionate about, and that just makes it so much richer, because it's just an equal, it's just kind of a free exchange of energy. They're just sharing freely, and that's what's been the biggest part of my content. Is it's like, hey, I have a microphone, will you talk to me? And so there's the head of the AI informatics at the university wants to talk to me. Like, I'm just a guy from Arkansas, which is really crazy. So like, part of like why I love to create is because like I have really no reason to be able to talk to any of these people, but it's because I approach them with genuine curiosity and good intent, and want to just, add value to the world. Like, I'm not selling anything. So that's kind of how I've approached all my content.
Amazing. Yeah, I definitely agree with what you said, and I think it's maybe a mistake that we make all those times, thinking of we are like expert on things. When you approach it as a noob, you tend to learn way more, because you don't think so high of yourself, so you ask more questions, you research more, you experiment more, so it's easier to learn.
So when you started this podcast, did you start with did you do courses or anything, or was you just like trying to imitate people that you were seeing? You saw somebody, you were like, man, I wish I could do that, and you try to like shoot for that?
Kind of, yeah. I just experimented, and I think every episode, if you go back, it's different.
Yes,
because every time I'm changing something.
Is every episode for like a different show almost? Yeah. Well, I mean, you got a great setup, so like I can see the consistency there. Every episode of mine felt like a different podcast entirely. Nobody could follow. I mean, for 3 years I posted, and I got to talk to like all kinds of crazy people. Like people on my podcast go on Rogan's podcast, which just shows the the heart of a teacher. The people that are humble and like to raise people up. They're willing to go on my little podcast, and they're willing to go on Joe Rogan and Tucker Carlson's podcast, at the same time, which is really cool.
Yeah. So you have guests that were in Joe Rogan podcast. How did you approach them? Was it like a cold email, for example, or is it through someone else?
Yeah. So, I pretty much all of the success that I've had in building relationships online has been on X, Twitter. Yeah. In all of it. And I mean, I say that having tried for 3 years of YouTube, and my YouTube is just now picking up over the last week, with my more focused content. But for all of my relationships, if I want to talk to someone, they go to X because they can get an accurate idea of who you are because you have all this history on there. They can go to Grok and say, hey, what's this guy up to? You know, and in Grok, the AI will give you like a rundown of like what my profile is or whatever, you know, so.
Okay. I think you're actually very big on X, Twitter.
I've posted some stuff, you know, and I've gotten, you know, my background is in content marketing. So I try to, you know, entertain people and get people, you know, not dramatically entertained, but I try to make things that people want to see in their feed, if I can. But X is just a great place to build relationships online.
Okay. We don't use it as much. I think in Greece, it's like in the US, I know it's like a huge thing.
All of my contacts from here came from X, from Greece, the people that, you know.
But at the same time, I think it's a way to filter people.
Sure.
So the people that are here and using it maybe are in the same mindset as you, so it's easier to connect. I don't know.
Okay. What I'm noticing is, do you do any kind of like paid promotions or anything with content?
I tried it a little bit on Instagram, but I'm not good at it. I think it's one of my worst skills.
Really? But you're really good with graphic design. That's your thing.
Yeah.
Is it?
But trying to understand how much to spend in order to test it and how to test it and all of this.
Yeah, I've done it for years. I started 2 e-commerce businesses. One when I was 22 years old and sold it a couple years later, and it was all through like Facebook advertising promotions, and I grew my X through promotions as well. It's about finding content that is relevant. The more relevant the content is, the lower the cost to deliver it's going to be. So if you already have something that is trending well or it's highly targeted, the more relevant it is, that drives the cost down. So like right now on YouTube, they've just kind of unleashed the floodgates, and you can get you can acquire followers through AdWords for 4 cents.
Okay.
And that's the delivery and the impressions that you're getting. And it's just serving your video before another video on the platform.
Okay. Okay. So are you using that?
Yeah. I mean, I've done it for years. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, like if you're making content, like you want people to see it. Right. And these platforms make money, of course. But the more organically viral something is, the more relevant it is to somebody, the lower that cost is. Like, I'm not going to pay to deliver content that is not good on its own by itself, because then this is going to be like ridiculously expensive. Like, why would I be wasting money to, you know? So that's just like my advice for like, if you start finding like momentum with something, there are little tricks. I mean, don't waste your money. Set spin limits. Is this a topic that you talk about with guests? Is like
I think that's
is that useful?
Yeah, I think it's a very useful because most creatives, I don't know, if I think about me, you know how to create something, but if it doesn't work by itself, you don't really know how to pay to promote it in the correct way, and not just throw money away. So yeah, I think it's very interesting, at least for me. Yeah.
You know, and I wanted people to see the stuff I was making here in Greece, and I've still got a lot of stuff I haven't posted. It's like we've just been capturing footage all week, and interviewed Gogos, the graffiti artist that we've been here, and that's how I got to the School of Philosophy. But we went to the School of Philosophy a few times. Interviewed a professor out there. If I had more time, like there was still more people that I was supposed to speak with, and I just didn't have time. Didn't have time.
Next time,
yeah.
You need to come back.
But I mean, these last 3 weeks, I've been living a dream. You know, like I've been talking to a microphone since I was 14 years old. You know,
I want to ask you about that. You mentioned you started broadcasting at 14 and businesses also at 14. So how did you start it so young?
I grew up behind the cash register. Like my folks ran businesses, you know, like small businesses, retail. When I was 14, I went to a radio station to record an ad for a thing at school. And I was clicking around. He saw how quickly I was able to just click around. You know, it was Windows 98 or whatever. Back in, this has been 18 years ago. But he said, hey, do you want a job? So like then I'm working 35 hours a week at 14 years old. You know, in the United States, you can get your driver's license at 14 years old if you have a job.
Okay.
So I'm driving back and forth to work and school.
I didn't know that. I knew that it's 16. Here it's 18.
Really,
but I didn't know you
really?
can get it at
Yeah,
14.
I was at 14 years old driving back and forth to the radio station doing obituaries, telling them, who had died, and doing weather updates. The weather would go crazy, and I'd have to jump on and do severe weather updates.
Okay.
But so that's where that started. And then I would use those radio credentials to like interview Fall Out Boy or Little Big Town. Like I would like try to use my little radio credentials to interview big bands. So that's kind of how that started. Okay. And then, so I've been doing it for so long,
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm good at it. I'm saying like I like to learn and I just do it.
Yeah,
most people say, hey, I'm going to start a podcast. And they don't. How long did you think about this project that you're doing here before you started it?
I already started doing the YouTube videos, and then the podcast before starting, I don't know, maybe a month.
Really? See, that's good. So time from between idea to execution, that's great. Like some people just never. A lot of people are afraid of what people are going to think. Like you either have time to execute on something, or you have time to sit and think about what people are going to think. And most people are just too concerned with their own issues and things that they got going on.
Actually, personally, I did start the YouTube videos because I was afraid.
You didn't?
No, I did start it because I was afraid to be in front of the camera.
Okay.
I'm more like an introvert. I always used to be behind the camera, filming, editing, but never in front of it. So that's why I started YouTube, to be kind of face my fear. And then I don't remember exactly why I started the podcast, but it was a similar feeling of that's more like 1 hour filming. So that's more raw. So, and the next stage will be to do live.
Okay.
So then there's no editing to hide imperfections.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think I've really done much live. I do like to edit just for brevity or shorts or whatever, but I'm cool. This is the first podcast I've done like this, however you do it. This is cool. This is very, very nice. Very nice setup. I've interviewed people that are working with President Trump right now and on a iPhone 13, like nothing like this, trust me. And they were just being kind, giving me the time of the day, to even, they were just, there's no reason for them to come on my podcast. That's them trying to help somebody, and there's a lot of people like that are influential or well-placed that will share information with you, that will give you the time of day if you just, kind of collect yourself and have something cohesive to kind of be like, hey.
But at the same time, I think, thank you, first of all. I think that the actual gear doesn't matter. Like whatever you have as a tool, this is what you should use.
Yeah, of course.
And then build up. I obviously didn't have all of those.
I think my first maybe 9, 10 podcast things I posted, which you probably can't even find much of those anymore because I deleted most all. I just took them down offline about a month ago. I'm like, I'm going to start over, and I had upwards of 70, 80, interviews I had done for the last 4 years, but I forgot where I was going with that.
New chapter.
yeah. I was just like, I want to fully depart from that. It's kind of whenever you keep doing interviews, sometimes maybe you get tired of it or whatever, and you keep looking for ways to like level up. Like, hey, like I still like interviewing people, but like maybe I want to go interview in person or something. Like, and that's why I'm here. And I just did it. And I just took a month off. And
how did this start? Where did the idea came from to travel to Greece and speak with people and the whole thing, basically? How long ago and how much? Yeah. So
I've been looking for content ideas for, 3 years, but I've been working with somebody about a month ago, and we were going through some transitions, let's just call them that, back in the United States. So like I'm moving to a new phase in my life, and I'm going to sell my house, and I'm going to try to pursue just what makes me happy. Like I just like to create, I like to talk to people, and I'm just going to try to do that for a little bit just to see kind of where it goes. I don't really have anything to lose. I don't have any kids. I've not worked for anybody in 15 years. I've not had to. Amazing. Yeah. I had to work. Trust me. I'm not saying I'm not wealthy at all. But I've worked my ass off for the last, 15 years, but I've not had to work for anybody. And that that gives you a lot of freedom. If you let it, you can also be a prison. And I've been there too.
Yeah.
Do you work from home?
Yeah. My own business
Cool.
for a lot of years now, and I don't know if I can go back
To working for someone?
to work as an employee.
Yeah.
Maybe if it's the perfect company that has the exact same mindset with me.
Okay.
I don't know, but yeah. Otherwise, very difficult for me right
Cool.
now to go back to that. Yeah.
So how do you get big name clients like that? How did you work your way up to that?
Yeah, I think you do it over the years.
Okay.
I guess.
Did they come to you, or did you approach them?
No, they came to me. Like I had an email from Netflix, which I didn't know it's Netflix.
Okay.
Because they couldn't tell me who they are before I signed the
I see.
NDA.
I see.
They just said we are a big streaming company.
Interesting.
So I have a section where I ask 3 fast random questions.
Okay.
You can answer with the first thing that pops in your mind.
Okay.
And then you can expand and explain why.
Okay.
First question is, you're an early riser. What time do you get up, and do you have a morning routine or morning ritual?
Thanks, by the way, for adjusting your podcasting schedule for
No
me.
worries.
Yeah. So, I mean, I get up maybe 6 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
Get around, and I just kind of start pick up the rest of the ideas that I was working on the day before. I've came here to Greece, but I've not been vacationing. I haven't been to the Acropolis yet. I've been waking up every day just like with this burning creative drive to just create as much as I can. It's so crazy. I feel so fulfilled. And that's after going through several months of not being able to fulfill that passion or just have an outlet for it. So, if I removed myself from where I was for 3 full weeks, which I've not done before. And I've just sat and worked on ideas for the last 3 weeks. It's been pretty cool. And, got a little momentum on YouTube for the first time in 3 years. I posted for 3 years and until I deleted everything from before that and started over. That's when I started.
Awesome. Yeah, YouTube, I think it's a very difficult, especially now. Maybe back in the day it was easier, but right now I think it's a difficult platform to, I don't know, have that snowball effect at some point. It takes time, I think.
Okay.
I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure it does take time.
Depends,
it took me 4 years.
I guess.
Took me 4 years. Let's say that.
Yeah, same. I think, I started, 4 years, I think, ago. And I haven't posted for a long time.
Okay.
And the last 3 months, I started to get traffic and people watching and more views without doing anything.
Yeah.
So I definitely need to get back into it and start.
If there was someone you could have on your podcast that's like, that's like you're reaching a little bit too high, who would that be? Like who are you working your way up, to try to have a conversation with?
I like that. I have different people for different things. So because mine is more for creatives, I will say Chris Do. I don't know if you know him. Yeah, he's a educator, I will say.
Okay.
But he has a huge channel in YouTube. It's called The Future. And I learned a lot through him. I went to seminars, meet him.
Okay.
So yeah, I would love to have him as a guest.
Part of podcasting is just like building the relationships. So there are people that I could interview that have millions of followers that I am just waiting to ask because I want to arrive to a point to where I can set the table well enough that it's something that it's like, okay, yeah, I know this guy, and we talk, but I'm just going to wait until I get to where like the table can be, I can have this set up that you got here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So,
so like, it's just like building the relationships, like seeing what problems you can solve for people with no expectation. And maybe that's because I try to solve too many problems for people. I don't know. I just kind of, my mind just rolls.
Like for me, I would love to be in, like build up the people that come to the podcast, to get to that level of being able to not waste his time when I did. Like if he said yes today, I will not be ready because I think I will not
that's
have
what I'm
that
saying.
level of
that's what I'm saying.
being able to ask the right questions so you don't waste his time.
Yeah, you've not had enough time to just build your own depth to arrive to, I can sit here and talk to you about my little stuff I have going on, but I couldn't, I wouldn't have anything impressive to sit and talk to, who would I be? Chris Williamson about, Chris Williams.
Next, I'm going to ask you the same question. Who you will love to interview at some point?
Perhaps Jordan Peterson. Mm-hmm. I met him in February. I've been to a couple of his lectures. Slipped him my card in a letter when I met him in February. So maybe one day when I build up and can provide the setting that would, justify someone of whatever, stature or background, to be able to spend time with me for a moment, because I consider every opportunity in this one too a creative opportunity. I appreciate that.
What's an underestimated skill that everyone should learn?
I think curiosity is a skill. I mean, being genuinely interested in things, but not to just confirm your own bias. I mean, people will use things to. I try to challenge. I like to learn things that kind of go against what I may suspect. Like I came here wanting to interview a graffiti artist in Greece because of all the graffiti art, and like part of me was like, maybe there's just some kids, or maybe it's some. And we got there, and even the film person I had with me was like, wow, they were so kind and humble and polite. Like it was just this. So I just love being surprised. I love being curious, and I think that my curiosity is just like, I mean, it can get you in trouble, but it's if you can, if you can hone in on that curiosity, adventure, that's a big part of me.
And I love that you said the bias, because curiosity also for me is like trying to find the true truth, like through the scientific method, like also looking at the opposite side, even if you're not agreeing with it. For sure.
Just having critical thought, and now we have all these AI tools, and we can check things, but also the opposite of that is you can use those same tools to like just reinforce your own bias.
Yes, I think
or justify
the
something.
Algorithm does this a lot. Like the things that you're seeing on your social media is completely different from someone else. So it's kind of, I think, reinforcing what we believe.
Someone I interviewed recently this week is Dr. Stamatelos here in town, and he's the head of the Institute on Philosophy and Technology, and they're training AI models for the European Union in the Socratic method. So it's a generative prompt that you interact with as a citizen, but it doesn't just give you answers. It asks you why you might know, like it challenges your thoughts and your reasoning and your process and your thinking.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So like there's people working on things that that are hopefully will increase. So that's an example. That's why I came here for that, because that's where AI and ancient philosophy and ancient wisdom is colliding, right here. And I feel like I'm capturing, society just before AI takes over, so that's kind of, that's what makes me really excited.
That's awesome. I never thought about, so I kind of do that a lot of times when I'm researching something or when I'm working on something, and I ask ChatGPT, instead of giving me an answer, to ask me good questions. Okay. So I can think about it. Okay. But I never went to the ancient Greece, and I never thought about this way. So I guess everyone could do that even today themselves. Mm-hmm.
Do you use it for like personal things, like interpersonal relationships? Like, have you asked it? Like, do you use it to like for help with your relationships?
I wouldn't say that much. No.
Okay.
For me, it's mostly business or work, or it's also personal stuff, I guess, but I'm not sure if I have used it before in terms of connection with other people.
Okay. Yeah. I met I was at an event the other day, and they had helpers helping everybody carry stuff around. There was a 17-year-old kid, senior in high school. He said, ChatGPT is my best friend. And I said, me too, dude. Because I don't know why, but I guess I just kind of leaned on it for advice this year. Don't know why. It just something about, and not just for interacting. Like whenever I encounter a situation or something I'm wanting to solve, I'll use it to get the perspective of like 12 different like experts, So like I'll have prompts ready for like, I want to look at a situation from 12 different psychoanalytical perspectives or something, so like you see all the different angles. Maybe I'm just hyper analyzing stuff to death. And I like, that's what I said about, confirming your own bias. And you kind of just, research sometimes can just be like procrastination with extra steps. Fun.
Love that. I think I have one more question. And a question that I just remember I need to ask you.
Okay.
And then we can go back to AI because I also want to ask you a lot of stuff about that. So third question. I lost it. Oh, yeah. So what's your favorite country that you have visited until now?
Definitely Greece. Okay. Yeah. No, I've been to a bunch of places. No, I've not been to a bunch of places. People here, I've met people here that are much more traveled than me. And having spent the last 3 weeks here, I realized how I'm not very cultured or traveled at all. I think the first thing I learned was like that I was being made fun of my fanny pack in Greek.
What do you mean?
Like the little thing you zip on your side. I just felt like people were laughing at me in Greek, like my whole first week. I eventually just like threw it to the side. I was like, this is embarrassing.
A lot of people in Greece wear.
Do they fanny pack? Yeah. Oh, well, maybe they were laughing at something else. But, Greece for sure. This has been great. I've had just the best experience. We've met so many cool people. I mean, graffiti artist one day up on a hill with a floss presser, robotics CEO. I mean, it's been so incredible. Many different. Only from the kindness of people. I'm not saying like I have any statue or standing to be on a hill talking about robotics. I really don't. But I'm very interested in if somebody's willing to talk to me about something, super interesting and that just kind of opens my eyes about something that I'm not involved in at all. I'm detached from it, but it's also just like, it's just, I don't know. It's very fulfilling for me. That's why I like to create.
Awesome. Awesome. I wanted to ask you about graffiti. If it gave you the vibe, like, I don't know how it's in the US. I actually have a friend from the US that told me that. So I want to see if it's the same for you.
Okay.
If that gave you that dangerous vibe of like more ghetto.
Okay. I see.
Like dangerous area or something like that.
Okay. Yes, I would say so. Probably a little more dangerous if there was a lot of graffiti in one area or whatever. But it's different here. European countries are different. I've not felt unsafe anywhere here in Greece. Okay. Oh, maybe once. I stumbled off on the wrong street or whatever. But I've not felt unsafe at all in Greece. I've been to Mexico, Canada. Those cities I've felt way more unsafe. Okay. I would say Athens has been probably the safest big city that I've been in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to hear that. Yeah, because I had a friend from the US and he was like, yeah, it reminds me like the ghetto areas because there's everywhere there's graffiti, but at the same time here it's kind of normal for me. I don't even see it. I just walk around the street, there's a lot of graffiti, but I don't really
maybe that's like the first impression you get when you land. But I knew there was some sort of story behind it, and it's and I was able to ask graffiti artists this by going out to the school and talking to and they're not really graffiti. They're not there's a difference between a tag, like just on a wall, and then like a mural. Yeah. And what I went out there to see the other day was these murals these guys had done that took days. And I feel like there's a difference there, but also, this is a city where they've written words in marble for centuries, right? But then, all down below it, they're writing messages that are on flaking walls, and I don't know, something about it is I wouldn't say it's beautiful. I mean, there's certainly beautiful pieces, but I don't know. It's just like a city that refuses to shut up. I think that's something that maybe they say, but I feel like that's a big part of, just being a Greek person. Maybe is that just living with that angst of rebellion. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, it depends what you do. Again, it's what you said. You could write a message. You could tag, which is more like vandalism, I guess. And then you can do those huge, beautiful murals.
Yeah,
I think it's beautiful. I don't know if.
I need to introduce you to Gogos and Spike, and because like they are artists. I mean, then they're also tattoo artists, and they do like really realistic stuff. But that's the episode that I did. You should have them on because they were, they're definitely artists and creators.
Thank you. For sure. You're doing this here in Greece right now. What stage do you think you're like from 1 to 10? How well did it went in terms of like before starting and before leaving now? How do you feel about it?
I came here with a completely different plan. And just had to roll with it. I mean, whenever you invest in a international ticket and you've got going to be here for 2 weeks and somebody doesn't show up, what am I going to do? Walk around and eat souvlaki every day? I wanted to work and focus and we came here wanting to record everything in RAW. We'll know how it goes after I get the piece together that's going to stand on its own. That's about Greece and the AI thing that has all the interviews I've done. So it's just everything I do is learning. There's going to be something that I didn't like or some shot that I didn't take, and there was a couple where the microphone didn't work or whatever, and we had to try to enhance, bring up the audio, things like that. There's always going to be something. Yeah, but it's just if you don't get out there and just do it, But
I think that's the way to learn.
Yes.
I forgot to open my microphone one time when I was outside, but I never did it again because I was so upset that I came back home and all my shots were ruined because I don't have any sound. So if you don't make the mistake, I think one time, then you don't learn.
Yeah.
The next time you always check that.
I got out of a cab yesterday. I almost dropped my phone in the drain. We were just like,
oh no.
Yeah, and that would have been like 3 days, having a film assistant and like just gone literally down the drain. It would have sucked. Oh. But no, so like I've been backing up everything. And one thing I was going to mention was like about being curious. This morning, I reached out, a couple of days ago, I reached out to the main editor on the Netflix show Ancient Apocalypse. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I know that show. But
it's a big show. I've not seen every episode or whatever, but it's very high level editing. Reached out to the main editor on there, Riz Hall. Like, no reason to talk to me. I don't have 6 figures to pay him to edit my vlog to the, whatever. But he gave me, 45 minutes of his time. Let me ask him questions about layering music, about, working with tracks and stuff like that. So it's
that's amazing. Was it again through Twitter?
Yeah.
X?
No, what was that? No, so I just like asked ChatGPT, who's the main editor on Ancient Apocalypse? I was like, Riz Hall. Okay, Riz Hall. Type in his name. Oh, he's got a little website. Cool. I'll just send him a contact thing. Yeah. Like you can literally talk to anybody. I mean, you know this. I mean, you're working for Netflix and stuff. So, I mean, you can talk to anybody you want in the world, which is really cool. Like you can go do anything and nobody's going to stop you. Like it's really cool. Just do cool things, do creative things. And that's what I'm trying to do.
Nice. Nice.
You don't have to ask for permission. Like there's no like slips to sign. It's, that's what it's all about. It's fun. Yeah. And hopefully I can make it pay for itself eventually. That's
and first of all, I think good job on the videos.
Just playing around.
I think it's you edit in a good pace. You filming in a nice way. You add the motion, title motion.
That's just me literally learning at the
that's good
at the hostel.
That's good. Yeah.
With food poisoning.
Because if you start this way, then when you improve, it's gonna be. I can see the potential. That's why I'm saying that.
Well, I didn't start this way. There's 3.5 years of interviews I'm proud of. I talked to a lot of really cool people and cool topics, but eventually just like, I just want to break away. And that's, you just break away. That's what I did. Just broke away.
Yeah. Also, you have a calm voice.
Do I?
It matches. I don't know. It matches
I don't know
the
if
vibe
I do.
of the. I don't know.
I don't know if
no.
No, I feel like my English is so fast. People here get frustrated with me. I have to really slow it down and.
But on the videos you do it like a voiceover, so I think you have the time to properly do it the way that you want.
And that lets me sit down and I sit and think about like what I'm wanting the audience to feel through this or whatever. Like how's it gonna, and I hope to get better at that. Like and like I know some of those little videos I did was like 2 minutes. That took like 7 or 8 hours.
Yeah. That's one thing that people don't understand when you're doing a 2-minute video. It takes you a week.
It takes and then it's still, little things wrong with it. But I would say the biggest thing is if you got a desire to create, if you can afford to barely afford to just take some time to just focus on it for 3 weeks, like I've done here, and just threw myself at it, I've learned a lot in the most 3 weeks than I have in 3 years.
Yeah. What's the number one thing that you learned through this process?
To just keep going whenever you belief in yourself wavers. Like I got here and I got food poisoning, nothing went to plan. The creative partner didn't show up. Like I felt like everything was just not working out for me. So, I thought interviews weren't going to work out. If you just lean into what you do best, like I knew if I just approached these people genuinely and I had good intent, I had no help with doing any of these. Like, and it was the kindness of all of the people here in Greece, like saying, "Hey, I know this person. You can introduce me." I met some big documentary person that gave me the time of day. He had no reason to talk to me. Like he was way above me in terms of his execution, but he had coffee with me and introduced me to his helper, who helped me all week long, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without her. So like I've learned to work with people that are better at me than things on this trip. That's what I've learned.
Nice.
Yeah, and I've enjoyed it. Yeah.
But this is how you learn. You work with people that are better.
And this is my first time doing that. So like it's exciting to do. Like I'm excited to try to plan more content things and with other people. It's fun. Like I'm excited.
Awesome.
It's like a big adventure, like life is. Awesome. Yeah.
And so after Greece, what's the plan?
I mean, I've written and have contacts with people in countries all around the world for different places, different ideas and projects. Like I would like to get momentum with this concept for the AI and the culture interaction thing. If I could find more assistance with that. We thought about going to Tokyo and doing some stuff there. We had a robotics introduction. That one of the interviews I did here introduced me to somebody in Tokyo that has like robotics stuff.
Wow.
So we go out there and maybe do that. But I'm just looking for the next idea. If anybody has any ideas or anything like that, or wants to just talk about ideas, I just love to brainstorm. Yeah. Like I want to go to Ethiopia and film a volcano. I think that would be really cool. And that intersects with AI too, because they're using like geothermal things to fuel, data centers and stuff like that. So,
have you been in Japan before?
I've not been. Mainly been Mexico and Canada. Yeah.
Mexico. Okay.
Yeah, it's a totally different vibe.
Nice.
Than here. Yeah.
Nice.
The Greece is way better. I love Greece. This is awesome.
Good to hear that.
So what is your goal with the podcast? Just keep like learning from creatives to build those creative skill sets yourself? Yeah, because like every guest you're, learning from,
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason I did mine, was just to like pick people's brains and stuff.
As long as it's also interesting for me and I enjoy doing it.
Sure.
I think I'll do it.
Sure. What will you do whenever you start losing interest in it? Like how will you will it change? Are you going to delete everything like I did and fly to America?
I'm not sure if I'm going to delete it. No. But because also the videos I started doing besides the podcast was more like, it's kind of a calendar, like a, not calendar, like a diary.
Well, I didn't delete all mine. I can still look back.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm not sure like if I lose interest, if I can find usually a way to add something or remove something or like do it more interesting. Like the thing that you do, travel and being able to interview people as you travel, that's interesting for me because I interview a lot of people online through Zoom, which is awesome in terms of I can do that now and there's very interesting people on the other side of the world that I can talk with. Yeah. But at the same time, it's not the same as being in person with the other people. So if I could travel there or I can fly them here, that will be even like the upgrade of this. The other day I had a IV vitamin drip. I was feeling sick. Like I was just feeling tired and weary, and so I had a nurse come to the hospital and gave me a drip, with the vitamins. And the guy came in,
he gives drips to like Justin Bieber, Matt Damon in the Mykonos. And he was sitting there flipping through his phones like Jessica Alba. I was like, what? I didn't believe him at first. And he was flipping through. I was like, trust me, I'm no, he's like, what do you do? I was like, oh, I'm a YouTuber. I was like, oh, I don't think he took a photo of me, but he had all these photos of like all these people. I was like, that is cool. But I felt so much better after that. But anyway, I was, I told him, I was like, if you, I'll give you my card, if you ever, have a good celebrity person, be like, hey, I have a friend that has a podcast, and like, hey, I'll pay you or whatever to find me some cool interview. But, cool. All right, man. I appreciate you having me on, man. It's been cool. I talked a lot. I hope that was useful. Do you chop things up into shorts? Is that fun to do?
I try to. I think
it takes time. It takes time to sit and do that stuff.
I need to do that because I think it's a nice way to promote it also in other platforms. I also wanted to ask you. Yeah. I just remember.
Sure.
Since you mentioned you were changing in college. So many different
majors or focuses or whatever,
changing
degrees,
businesses all the time, changing stuff.
Sure.
When do you know where to move on to something else or double down on the thing that you're doing?
Okay. Momentum. I mean, if you have momentum with something, it's good. So, I have a little business now, a leather company in the United States that I will do myself at events. So like, that's kind of how I'm, funding what I'm doing now. So, I mean, how do you know to keep going with something or let go of something? I mean, if it doesn't bring you happiness anymore, I got tired of doing podcast interviews, talking about all kinds of crazy conspiracy stuff. I went down, I've talked to everybody. I've talked to, controversial people that are well known. And it's just because it was interesting to me at the time. And eventually you just, your interests change, Like my interest changed 30 days ago, and I just decided to redo everything, and go a completely different direction. And I'm glad I did. Like I've added. I mean, I'm not trying to brag, and I'm not sure if anything. I'm not sure I'll ever post again. Honestly, we don't know. But I've added like 8,000 subs in the last week on YouTube. It's like, wow, okay. Like now maybe I can try to make something cool, and share something cool. That's really all I want to do is travel and make something cool and talk to cool people.
Awesome. Before we go, I think one last question about AI. Do you think we should be afraid of it, that it's gonna take our jobs and stuff like that? Or
I've been asking people. I've been asking people all week this here in Greece. It's gonna take a lot of jobs, but I mean, ultimately, AI is just a tool. It's not, I wouldn't say it's good or bad. It just depends on how it's going to be used, right? I'm all about personal freedom and sovereignty and liberty and being completely independent from any kind of government or, I think that that if you can decentralize these tools, and there are some platforms that are doing this, like Freedom GPT, they decentralize their AI servers among their users. Okay. So the workload driving, people using the platform is they can earn tokens and earn money. So like it's decentralized. There's decentralized AI. Not everybody's using Chat GPT. That's just one thing. There were like hundreds, thousands of models and various things. And this new, what was this new DeepSeek R1 that just came out? Yeah. It's a standalone model and it outperforms, and it's throwing the chip industry on its head. So, I mean, so there's, I don't think it's good or bad. I think it depends on how you use it. And I think you should learn about it or don't. Move out into the country and get chickens and do that. Like that is my duality. I have that in me to want to learn everything I can about AI and robotics. I also could go live on a mountain and raise chickens and not talk to anybody ever again. So like there's that. So right now I'm fulfilling this part of me.
Nice. What's the best place for people to find you? Is it, I guess, Twitter, X? Is it the best place for people to communicate?
Sure. And that's where mainly I've had an audience before. But right now I'm kind of getting into the YouTube thing. Maybe I'll can try to break through the little learning levels, like it's just like a game of learning. Yeah. It really is. I wish I could skip levels or whatever, but you just don't get there that way. YouTube, meetjames.com. Yeah. Yeah, I'm Real Meet James on all the platforms, but meetjames.com. Yeah.
Okay, I'll have all your links obviously in the description.
Cool.
Yeah, and thank you for being in the podcast, man.
Oh man, thank you for having me on. I hope it was something there you can kind of pick out little gold nuggets or whatever. But thanks for listening to me.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.